How do you survive the 7-month-long Mars and Gemini transit? You don't. What? I'm just kidding. What kind of little astrological birdie would I be if I didn't tell you how to survive this energy and use it to your benefit? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Moon Days with Michael. I'm your host, the Royal Triangle Michael, and I am cutting out the esoteric middleman and giving you the tools you need to connect yourself right to the source. Mars is going to be in Gemini for 7 months, and for some people, this is going to be awesome. And for some people, what the fuck? And this is kind of going to depend on your relationship with Mars and the Gemini energy, as well as your own Martian placement. This is a very unique transit for a couple reasons. Well, it's actually really only 2 reasons. We'll get to the second one later, which has to do with the constellation Mars is going to be angling. More on that later. When it comes to this transit, Mars being in Gemini for 7 months is very unusual. It's not like it's Jupiter or Saturn or some other outer planet that usually takes a long time to move through a sign. No, Mars usually moves through signs pretty quickly. However, in this case, Mars is going to be moving through Gemini, which started on August 20th, which we're past that point. It's going to be going retrograde in Gemini on October 30th, and then it's going to be direct January 12th in 2023. It's going to be in Gemini for 7 months, and we need to learn how this is going to play out and how we can use this to our benefit. Now, in order for you to actually survive this transit and get the most out of it, you need to know a couple things. You need to know Mars, Gemini, and you need to know how Mars and Gemini acts. Let's talk about the Mars aspect first. So we all know this fiery red hot planet, right? This is the planet of your action, your willpower, your passion, your motivation, your intention, right? However, that's a little too horoscopy. This goes beyond that. Mars is deeper than that. Mars is the spark, the thing that actually gets you to go and do something. You can think of this as sitting down on a couch and you're just like sitting there watching TV, gazing off into the distance, right? And then you're like, oh shit, I gotta do this, right? Or, oh crap, I wanna do this. It's something that just comes to you. It's the spark, the initial, do it, like Shia LaBeouf meme every day, right? It's just do it. Do it. That is the root of this energy. It's not just the typical horoscope, oh, it's your passion, your motivation. No, it is not. It is the spark that gets you to go and do something. Do it. Now let's talk about Mars's favorite signs to be in. Mars loves to be in Aries, the sign of, I'm just gonna go and run through this and see what happens. Now Aries is the day side of Mars, whereas the night side of Mars is Scorpio. This is the aspect of Mars that takes buildup. It's like all of the pressure building in order for you to actually explode and then go and do something. Now these are the day and night side of Mars, aka the signs that actually rule Mars or are at home in Mars. Mars loves to be in Aries and Scorpio, night and day. Mars is away in these signs opposites, the sign of Libra and Taurus. It's at work in these signs, right? It's not the best placements for it because for some reason there is resistance being met with this energy from the signs and from the planet. Taurus is too structured, there's not enough passion, there's not enough just do it kind of feel with it. And Libra, it likes to relate too much. It likes to make sure things are going to be smooth and has a little following and some friends with it going along doing whatever it is. When it comes to actually acting and having that spark, Libra kind of falls off a little short here. Now let's talk about its fall and its exaltation. Mars falls in Cancer. It'd rather be asleep or die than actually deal anything with Cancer. Cancer is too comfortable, wants to make sure it has its shell right, wants to make sure it's in a good environment or at least try to create an environment where it can go and do whatever it wants. However, when it comes to acting, Cancers can get a little too stuck in their shell, have a little bit too much anxiety, and Mars does not vibe with that at all. However, you know what Mars does vibe with? Capricorn, bitch. Mars loves Capricorn. And the reason is because Capricorn loves to build things. Capricorn loves to just go and do stuff. You're either going to help me do this or you're going to get out of the way and I'm going to do it myself. However, I'm just going to end up doing it myself anyway because I do it better than anyone else in the first place.
Okay, you are useless. I'll take care of this.
So, Mars exalted in Capricorn. Why? Because building. So let's hop into the little Gemini aspect of our video. So, Gemini, right? We all know this sign. Most people love it. Most people hate it. How does that work? Depends on who you ask. This sign can be very childish, and this sign will put themselves in situations where they can talk about literally anything, everything, and anyone. So Gemini is the mutable air sign, right? Being adaptable and changeable to different ways of thinking and communicating. And it is ruled in Mercury, kind of exalted. Some people like to say that Mercury is exalted in Virgo. However, Virgo is too stubborn, too grounded, and Gemini is more of the essence of Mercury, being able to just go out and talk and communicate and think and love sharing ideas and basic details. So because of this, Mercury loves Gemini more than it loves Virgo. It also is away in Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of expansion through experience, and Gemini, well, even though it loves to just go out and talk to things, Jupiter is more of a go with the flow and see what happens. So Gemini can work in Jupiter, however, it would rather talk about things and actually expand its mind rather than go out and be put in different experiences and gain a new perspective. That's where Sagittarius comes in. The basic energy of Gemini, in a sense, is kind of like a little kid. It's like, I like this. Do you like this?
What do you like about it specifically? I don't know. Pick something, I'll blow your brains out.
Tell me, tell me, tell me. I want to know this. What about this? What about that? How do you think about that? It's just a kid going around blabbing about whatever it wants to blab about. There's really no filter to it. So this energy can be quite childish, which is why some people don't necessarily like it. And the other fact that sometimes Gemini can be kind of two-faced or four-faced or eight-faced just because they love to talk and learn everything and everything they can. And sometimes this involves gossip. However, it's not really the gossip fact. It's just the fact they want to know stuff. With that little tidbit about Gemini out of the way, boop, let's actually talk about Gemini and Mars together. Mars and Gemini is like a little kid running around just talking, expressing themselves, doing whatever they want. However, let's get to the meat and potatoes of what we're actually all here for. Mars and Gemini for 7 months. This transit, let's talk about it. So Mars and Gemini is all about communicating your passions, the things you're building. What are you working on? What are you working for? Are you building a business? Just do everything and anything you can to get the details of this, the basic communication, and just go and talk about it. Share the idea, communicate with it. Just see what's happening, see what you're building, see what you're planning, and just try to narrow your focus. The biggest problem with Mars and Gemini is the fact that it's a jack of all trades. A jack of all trades is a master of none, but still better than a master of one. Now, the reason why this describes Mars and Gemini is because Mars and Gemini can't focus on a singular thing. It has to just go and talk about whatever it is. Any day it could wake up with a new thing it wants to talk about, a new passion, a new thing that motivates it. It might wake up one day, not even want to work on the thing that it worked on yesterday, and rather go and start some new idea.
She has no time management skills whatsoever.
It has a hard time focusing. And this can be one of the problems with this transit for a lot of people, is the fact that they're not used to the Gemini energy. They don't know how this works. They don't know how to handle the this, that, and the third thing. So how am I supposed to focus? Now, the advice for Mars being in Gemini is to try to narrow your focus to the things that are most important to you right now at this moment. Even if you wake up one day and you're like, I don't want to work on this today. I'd rather go do that. No. Focus and try to build what you're trying to build. Are you building a business? Then work on the business. You can still work on the business and do something different that day, but try to keep it refrained to the business. It's like opening a dam. You're shifting the energy from one area to another. However, at the end of the day, it's still going to end up in this pool down here. Even though it can be hard to kind of focus with Mars being in Gemini, try to narrow it down to the thing that you're trying to be passionate about and building, and then just kind of redirect the energy every single day if you have to, in order for you to get certain things done for that thing, whatever you're building. Eventually, Mars is going to go retrograde on October 30th. Now, the retrograde is dealing with the past experiences of that energy. Why? Because the planet starts looking like it's spinning backwards, it starts moving through the signs again, and we are reliving certain experiences that we had under those influences. Now, this part of the experience is going to be the thing that most people are like, why? Right? Mars and Gemini. I didn't like Mars and Gemini to begin with. Now I gotta go through this with a retrograde experience? However, if you can make Mars and Gemini work for you, and the idea that you can, even if you can't sit down and focus on something for an extended period of time, but keep it branched under a singular idea or topic, you can make Mars in retrograde work for you. And the reason is because you basically just get to go back and look at all those experiences and be like, did I talk about it enough? Did I get enough details for this, that, and the third? This needs more work, I need to focus on this, right? You know you have to talk about, you know what needs more work, what needs more attention, so just go and do it with the little kid energy of, this is gonna be so much fun. But the most important thing is, do not lose the excitement that you had while Mars was not in retrograde in this energy. Keep the excitement, because you're going to be asking yourself like, does this excite me anymore? No? Too bad. Get excited. Just be excited about it, because eventually this energy is going to pass. Mars is going to be going direct again in Gemini. Most planets, most retrogrades, when they usually happen in 2 different signs. They start in one sign, keep going, they retrograde back pass into another sign, and then they come back into the sign that they started at. However, in this case, Mars being in Gemini is going to be going retrograde in Gemini, and then being direct in Gemini again. It's not going to be leaving Gemini. So you have the whole experience of actually being able to just utilize the Mars and Gemini energy 3 different times. We have a very unique experience with Mars being in Gemini retrograde 3 times. Well, not retrograde 3 times, but going through Gemini 3 times. Of us actually being able to literally master the thing that is motivating us during this time. Once this goes direct on January 12th in 2023 again, in Gemini, we have certain unique opportunities here. The first thing is that we get a second chance of reliving the direct energy of Mars being in Gemini. So if this didn't work out for you in the first direct and the retrograde, now you can really be like, okay, I need to do this, I have to do it now, I need to just have this with the excitement, I need to talk about it, communicate it, get the basic details, and just do it. And if you use this energy strongly the first time around, doing it the second time around of it being direct is only going to make it go even smoother than it would have if you didn't utilize this as strong as you could have the first time around. However, if you didn't, we do have kind of a saving grace, even though I never thought I'd say that about this placement. Gemini. is going to be sextiling Chiron. So with Chiron being in Aries, us in the whole past mistakes of our vision and our passions, with Mars being in Gemini sextiling this, when it goes through retrograde and comes back direct again, we can be like, oh, this didn't work out this way, this went wrong because of this, I need to focus on this again. You have a very unique opportunity here for you to actually look at the things that you're motivated and passionate about, the initial spark that you have, and actually just sit down, iron out the basic details, and fix what isn't working for you. However, we have an even greater opportunity here with the constellation that it's going to be angling, which is what we're going to talk about next. Mars in Gemini is going to be conjuncting a certain constellation 3 different times. Mars is going to be conjuncting the Orion constellation. So with that being said, we have a very unique opportunity here, because not only are we going to be able to be attacking our motivations, our passions, whatever we're working for, whatever we're working towards, with the Gemini childish kind of energy, where we're just going out talking about it, discussing it, getting the details of it, and just being like a little kid again, but we get to do this with the Orion influence. So long story short, with Orion the Hunter being the Hunter constellation, you can think of this energy of being the, I need to have a plan, I need to get these details, and I need to go out and do this, because otherwise I don't get to eat that day or that week, depending on how big your kill is. This is really all about having your idea, having your intentions, and carrying it out successfully in order for you to be successful. The Orion constellation also has to do with a few other things other than just hunting. War, because that guy. So the Orion constellation has to do with war as well as your mission, which is perfect for being in Mars and Gemini. So you better make sure that you can stay focused on your intentions as it moves through this constellation, because as Mars and Gemini starts conjuncting the certain stars inside of the Orion constellation, we're going to feel the little subtle energy changes that are going to be taking place because of that. So one day you might be a little kid running around just talking, acting, do whatever you want. The next day you're going to be a little kid having a knife.
Let me see what you have. No!
And then some days you're gonna have a sword or a bazooka, depending on which star it's angling. There could be some days where you just have all the light and attention shine on you and you're just like, all I did was say, what's the problem here? It all depends on what star is going to be angling during the Orion constellation. And this can help you attack your motivations very focusedly, or just kind of willy-nilly slicing and stabbing, doing whatever you want. I'm looking at you, Bellatrix, you know I'm talking about you. And you know that because I have you as my Mars. So that's gonna be a fun time when that happens. Once Mars and Gemini starts conjuncting all the stars inside the Orion constellation, this can bring a lot of focused and direct energy towards the Mars and Gemini just craziness that we have going on, which is going to be a very useful tool. And actually understanding each different star when Mars angles them in the Orion constellation is going to be very useful for you actually utilizing this energy 3 different times and making sure that you're carrying out your motivations, your passions out into its fullest before Mars enters Cancer on March 25th, which, let's be real here, Mars and Cancer do not get along whatsoever. They'd rather both be asleep and dead than to have anything to do with each other. So use this energy while you can. So you guys know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you guys want us to talk about next. And if you want a little bit more of a breakdown on each different star that Mars is going to be conjuncting inside the Orion constellation, check it out over there. And until next time, fly high, y'all.